Hello, this is Bobby Newman. I'd like to welcome you to this week's Research Minutes, the CPRE Knowledge Hub's weekly podcast where we interview researchers about the latest work being done in the field to help improve education. This week I speak with Dr. Robin Jacob, Research Associate Professor at the Institute for Social Research at the University of Michigan, about her study exploring the causal impact of the McREL Balanced Leadership Program on leadership, principal efficacy, instructional climate, educator turnover, and student achievement, which was published in the Journal of Educational Evaluation and Policy Analysis. Robin, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
As you mentioned in your paper, your study was one of the largest experimental evaluations of professional development program for principals. Were you sort of surprised when you were doing your background research that this hadn't been done before?
I was. Doing large-scale randomized evaluations is expensive, and it is hard to get them funded, and it's hard to implement them and implement them well. But in most fields of education right now, you do see at least a handful of large randomized trials of different types of educational interventions. And so I was surprised that there weren't more on principal professional development, especially because principal professional development and school leadership really is so important to the effective functioning of schools.
Absolutely. Can you tell us a little bit about the McREL Balanced Leadership Professional Development Program that you studied?
Sure. So the McREL Balanced Leadership Program is widely used across the United States. It's based on some meta-analytic work that was conducted, which identified 21 key leadership responsibilities that were associated with student achievement. And so the authors of the program developed a professional development program around these 21 key leadership responsibilities. And the idea was to teach principals about these responsibilities and then teach them how to implement them. Part of the focus of the program is on 4 different types of knowledge. The first is declarative, so knowing what to do. The second is procedural, knowing how to do it. The third is experiential, knowing why to do it. And then the last is contextual, so knowing when to make those changes. And the professional development is delivered in 10 two-day sessions over the course of 2 years and led by highly trained facilitators who have experience with the program and work closely with principals over time. And it's delivered in a cohort format so that the same principals come together multiple times over those 2 years.
What did participating principals report regarding the effects of the program?
So they were very positive about their experience with the program. And when we compared the principals in our program who were randomly assigned to receive the Balanced Leadership Program, those principals reported that they felt more efficacious about their role as a principal when compared to the principals who were assigned to the control condition. Principals also reported higher levels of collaboration in their school, a better school climate, and more effective instructional practices around differentiation among the teachers in their schools compared to the principals who didn't participate in the program.
Did these results translate into more effective principal leadership?
So we didn't actually measure leadership directly, but what we did do was ask teachers to report on their experiences with their principals. And so teachers reported no difference between the principals who received the Balanced Leadership Professional Development and those that did not in the areas of rating their principal on their leadership skills, on the instructional climate of the school, and the amount of collaboration that teachers experienced. The teachers reported no difference.
Were there other impacts that were found in the study?
So the one really interesting finding that we did uncover was that there was an impact on principal and teacher turnover. So principals who received the Balanced Leadership Program were less likely to leave study schools than principals who were in the control condition by about 16 percentage points, which is pretty large. And then also teachers who were in schools that had a principal who participated in the program were also less likely to leave the study schools. And that's particularly interesting since teachers didn't report that they experienced much different in their school climate or in the leadership of their principal.
Were you able to find an impact of the program on student achievement?
We were not. We measured math and reading achievement in the study schools in grades 3, 4, and 5, and found no difference at all between the two sets of schools. So it does not appear that, at least in the period of time that we were measuring, that there was an impact on student achievement from participating in the professional development on the part of the principals. And, I think there are a lot of reasons why that could be true. And so one of, I think, the takeaways from this is that if the real goal is to help principals be better instructional leaders, more needs to be done to link what principals are doing to what teachers are doing in the classroom.
What are the key takeaways for policymakers based on the work that you did?
I think it's really important to think carefully in general about professional development and how school districts are going to spend professional development dollars, and really looking carefully to see what the evidence is behind their effectiveness. I think it's important to think about what you are hoping to get out of those professional development experiences for your school leaders or your teachers, for that matter. If what you're hoping to do is to raise student achievement, I think there are a particular set of programs that have shown some effectiveness with respect to student achievement. If you have another goal in mind, then I think thinking carefully about what that goal is and looking for programs that have some studies behind them and measures of effectiveness along those the goals that you're trying to achieve.
Robin, thank you very much for taking time out to talk about your study. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
It was great talking with you. Thank you so much for having me.
To share your thoughts on this discussion, head to khub conversations at cprehub.org. To subscribe to our weekly podcast and listen to more interviews, head to SoundCloud, CPRE Knowledge Hub. For the latest videos, podcasts, and discussion updates, follow us at CPRE Hub on Twitter and at CPRE Hub on Facebook. We look forward to hearing from you, and thanks again for joining us today.